I'm Christian Nix, better known as the Barefoot Doctor, and this is Barefoot Medicine Training, Better Living Through Ancient Healing Secrets. The topic of today's short video is how you think about your chronic condition and why it matters so much. The biggest single thing that I can teach you, and the thing that will help you more than anything else that you could possibly do, more than any pill, more than any supplement, more than any diet or exercise regimen or anything else you could possibly find online or by going to a mainstream medical professional, is to change the way you think about your illness and consequently about your recovery and about health overall. Now, what I don't mean when I say this is positive thinking. Right? I actually hate the whole positive thinking crowd, not because positive thinking isn't important, but because it's used as a kind of battering ram and a kind of militant attitude about, well, if you're not healing, it's because you're not thinking positive enough. And right, it's a very low level and very lazy way to attack something as serious as a chronic condition. Positive thinking will not fix your chronic condition, right? When you have a serious problem at the level of your organs, just thinking positive about it is actually probably the last thing you should be doing. You should be very frightened and very motivated by that fear that you're not going to be okay and that you should get busy trying to learn and apply things, especially the kind of stuff that I share on this channel, because the medical system that I'm introducing you to bit by bit with each video is designed to alter your thinking so that you have a system that is consistent and the same for every person who uses it, which means it's based on some form of objective logic that you can reliably implement in your case, just like thousands and millions and hundreds of millions of other people have been able to do. And so I'm going to reveal why this system is so valuable for people with chronic illness, just like I do in every single video. But I want to be clear. The only thing that you should really use positive thinking for when you're trying to heal something as serious as a severe chronic illness is you should think very positively about your ability to learn this system. There's no reason that you can't learn and apply it. Hundreds of thousands of other people have learned to apply it. I've introduced over 300,000 people to this concept and the concepts that are contained within this medical system. And that should be a great, great motivation and an uplifting kind of thing for you, that you should think very, very positively about your ability to grasp what I'm going to share with you, both in my online materials and in the course and the private community that I offer, which you can find out about in the links below this video, but also just in these free educational videos. You need to understand that the mainstream medical model is not the right model for a chronic illness. In modern mainstream medicine, the body is a machine. Primarily, the body is a machine. And it is made up of cells and molecules, and that is the level at which treatment is conducted. It's very effective for emergencies. It is almost totally ineffective at treating chronic conditions, and also it is in fact dangerous. If you have a chronic condition and you go to the emergency medical system for help with your chronic condition, they will cause a lot of harm for you. Now, this is passed off rather casually as a side effect, but if you're a patient, it's not a side effect. It's not something happening on the side. It's a very negative outcome for you and your health, and you're going to get a lot of these, and you're going to get them more and more as you go back, and you're going to get them over and over again until, right, you either die or you give up and you try a different system. What I share with you on this channel is the system that was created and designed from the ground up to help people heal their own chronic conditions. Now, there's a lot in that statement. It is designed from the beginning. When was the beginning? Roughly 2,500 years ago, a system developed in another culture in Asia that really helped people understand they had no ability to treat emergencies. The technology did not exist. They did not think that way about illness. So everything was started from the beginning of this medical system to try to get people to understand how to heal what we would call in the modern era serious, long-term, chronic lifestyle degenerative conditions. And so this medical system started out with the ability to help people make sense of chronic conditions. That's number one. Number two, a lot of what is possible in a medical system is possible because of the language that is used. Now, I can't do justice to this topic in a short video on YouTube, but understand that like ancient cultures that use pictographic language, like Egypt, like cultures in Asia, right? China, Japan, right? They use stick figure kind of pictograms, what are called ideograms, that are translated the way we would translate pictures. I mean, they talk in pictures. They speak and communicate in little symbols that are actually tiny pictures that depict certain things. And the ultimate benefit of ancient languages that use pictographic languages, you can address things in the realm of medicine, health, and illness, and the recovery from chronic illness that you cannot address using Western Indo-European languages. Again, this is a very, very deep topic, but it's something that I had to wrestle with in my own studies until I had to go learn enough about reading ancient medical languages and ancient medical texts to realize that most of the people translating these texts have no real understanding of what they're talking about, right? The translations are bad translations. They're not accurate translations. They're conveying things that are convenient for the translator. They are not exactly what was said or what was meant. And so a big part of what I do when I teach people about this ancient medical system is try to give an accurate rendering. Now, the good news is, fortunately, right, there is a way to understand this ancient medical system on its own terms. And the way we would talk about a lot of the things that make this so helpful for people with chronic, especially chronic digestive illness, is to talk about it in terms of function. Functional medicine has an entire renaissance going on, and everybody is very excited about functional medicine in the West, and it has a lot of cachet, right? There's a lot of things that are very hip about it, and everybody wants to be advertised as a functional medical specialist, etc. But the original system of functional medicine came from many, many centuries back, right around the time of the ancient Greeks. It was not probably one culture that developed this. It was probably several cultures that amalgamated, and right, this has come down to us through the ages, where you can talk about what is happening in the body in very simple functional terms. So if you have a chronic digestive illness, and I did a video recently on SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. If you're in a Western medical thought process, what that means is you have too much bacteria in your intestines, ergo, we must kill that bacteria, give the patient an antibiotic. What happens when you give a patient an antibiotic typically is, number one, you cause harm to the organs, which are supposed to control the bacteria. Now you've damaged the body's immune function, right, so that it cannot control that proliferation of bacteria on its own. It becomes weaker and unable to actually do the task that it was assigned, right? And also you create an overgrowth of fungus. This is one of the very, very common things that people have taken a lot of antibiotics is, number one, you damage the body's ability to handle bacteria on its own. And also, you get other overgrowth of other microorganisms. And then you get a fungus growing in the body, so you take another antibiotic to kill the fungus. And then you get more problems, and then you take another one. And right, so you can very quickly get on this antibiotic mainstream medical merry-go-round where you're popping antibiotics like Halloween candy, trying to deal with the problems that were caused by the last round of antibiotics. All the while, your organs, your immune function, especially the spleen and the balance of bacteria in your intestines, are getting weaker and weaker and more damaged, and more buildup is occurring inside the body. So that is not a way to overcome a chronic imbalance like SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. But that's how the modern medical system, logically, they think that way. So you can see the disaster that is modern medicine treating some of these chronic conditions. Whereas the ancient medical system understood, again, on its own terms, each of your organs has a specific list of functions that is ascribed to that organ. So for example, the function of the stomach is that the food goes into the stomach and your stomach ripens the food, right? So metaphorically speaking, it's supposed to accelerate the breakdown of the food. Well, that's consistent with what we understand about stomach acid and sort of what the stomach is doing. You put food into the stomach and it rots and ripens the food. The food is breaking down in the stomach, and it breaks down quite quickly because of the stomach juices, et cetera, et cetera. And then nutrients are extracted from that food. Some portion of that is pulled into the body and then spread around the body as nutrients, right? It is put into the bloodstream and the heart pumps that out. And then some portion of that food is not extracted as fuel and nourishment. It is passed through the intestines as waste, and some more separating goes on in there, but eventually you have waste and you eliminate waste. This is a rendering of the functional model. Now, I talk about this in real detail inside, especially my online materials, the Pivot Protocol online course, I call it the Masterclass, and also in a private community where I coach people through how to recover from severe, long-standing chronic digestive illness. These are the kinds of chronic conditions that, quite frankly, modern medicine has no answers for. It could be anything from chronic fatigue to acid reflux to IBS or anything in between. If it's related to digestion, the best model that you can use to apply for your healing and recovery is the ancient medical model that I teach on this channel and in all of my material. And my story of how I stumbled across this, I won't cover here because you can find it elsewhere, especially on this channel. But I had just an unbelievable journey of discovery, learning about ancient medical approaches. And I also got very sick in the tropics where I was studying this. And so I had to put myself back together, but it gave me an incredible laboratory to do my own learning and to understand whatever you're going through right now with your chronic condition. I've been through it. I promise you. I've already gone through it. I understand the frustrations. I understand the despair and the real fear, right? When you're gripped by a serious chronic internal condition and like positive thinking ain't gonna cut it, right? You need a system that makes sense of your condition in a way that you're experiencing it. Because once you see that, oh, wait a second, he's saying stuff and that actually makes sense. That's what I'm experiencing during the day. Those are my symptoms during the day. That's what happens to me. I tried, X, Y, and Z supplement and it helped me a little bit, but then I fell off a cliff and got even sicker. All of those things are totally normal. And once you understand this ancient medical approach, you know why those things are happening to you. I went through them myself and I have a lot to say about this. That's why I put together a private community where you and I can talk once a week and you're learning how to apply ancient medical principles. And quite frankly, this is shocking to most people, but what you figure out pretty quickly is the solutions to your problem, the solutions to your chronic condition are actually the easy part. What's difficult is changing the way that you've been taught to think about how your body works and adopting this ancient medical logic that makes sense of your organs and what's happening and your illness and your imbalance and why your symptoms flare up when they do and what causes healing and what prevents healing and what's causing you to be so stuck in sickness, and changing all of that thinking based on what you've been taught in a biomedical kind of model that we're all used to, that we all grow up with and that we get inculcated with in 10th grade biology. If I can change your thought process so that you understand your body and your organ function at the level of functional kind of principles, trust me when I tell you that solutions are the easy part. Okay, that's enough out of me. If you want to get started, I put together a free 60-minute video training where you can watch. That link is below this video. Check that out. And also, there's all kinds of specific conditions that I've designed material to help you get started with. There's also a link below this on 5 tips that will help you feel better by tomorrow. That's enough out of me. Remember, your body knows how to heal on its own.